Hey guys, got another really quick review for you. This is kind of an unusual product for me, really. But since it's wintertime, and my wife had recently expressed to me that she would really like to get her hands and feet warmer to enjoy going out in the wintertime a little more often, then I felt like that was something I wanted to try to accommodate. So I ended up going online and I found some heated socks and some heated gloves. Now, I haven't tried these products before, and so I wanted to give it a shot and see how well they worked. And then because they were actually surprisingly a little pricey, I wanted to do a little review video for them so that you could maybe get some insight from my experiences on these two particular products anyway. And I'll put a link in the description below if you're interested in checking them out and kind of give you the pros and cons. Well, I've had these things for, I don't know, about a little over 3 weeks probably. And so the socks are by a company called Greatsley. I really love these strange names. And the gloves are by a company called Aroma Season. Okay, so I'm glad the socks are not by a company called Aroma Season because that, well, you get it. Anyway, so the socks come with these little battery packs, and if I do a long press here, you can see I get the buttons there. And the buttons are not an indication of the charge level, they're an indication of the power level. And by the way, the socks on Amazon were like $45 for the pair on Amazon Prime, and the gloves were $79.99, so $80 for the gloves. Pretty pricey, but I'll get into that and how I feel about that in a second. So these little battery packs charge with a little USB charger, and you can see it's got this little Y adapter, the little micro USB connector on the ends. And so the three little indicators there, as I said, are not for charge level, but for power level and how much heat you're going to generate. And so each of the socks has this little pocket that you would position on the outside of your leg at the top of your calf. And then they've got a little wire inside that hooks to the opposite side of where you charge it on the battery. So once you've connected that wire, the sock will start warming up. And kind of what we found out, and actually they kind of highlight this in the documentation that comes with the socks, which is minimal but workable, is that they don't really generate that much heat. And the heating pad is really under the ball of the foot, sort of on the bottom and the front of your foot, just below your toes. So that's where the sock primarily gets its heat. You don't get heat all around the sock. So at the highest mode, you're probably only going to get about 2 hours or so power out of, or heat out of this battery. And what we found is that it really doesn't need to get that hot, apparently. So my wife is the one who field tested these for me. And I did run these through a wash cycle, by the way. Obviously, you don't want to have the battery connected when you do that, and you're not supposed to run them through the dryer. So we just did them through a normal wash cycle, and then we hung them dry. Pretty straightforward. And I verified that they did continue to work normally after at least one wash cycle, so that's good. So for the money, you'd hope they last for at least more than one, but haven't had time to test that yet. So what we found works with these socks is that you set them to the high power level, get them warmed up for 10 or 15 minutes, and then you can bump the power level down 1 or 2 notches if you need more than a couple hours of heat time. If you only need a couple hours of heat time, you can, and it's really cold out, just leave it on the high setting. But if you need more than that, start it on the high setting to kind of get them warmed up and then drop it down, and you can extend that out to 3, 4, maybe 5 hours. Now they say 10 plus hours, and I don't see how you're going to get that, even at the low setting. And at the lowest setting, if it's not warmed up already, I don't know that you're even going to feel it. So the socks were reasonably comfortable. They're pretty thick, and they're padded with a little bit of arch elastic support there. So they're nice and well made. They are a little top heavy with the battery in that top pocket. If you have pretty well-defined calves, they'll stay put pretty well, despite the fact that the battery's in there. If you don't, they probably will slide down. Now, my wife said hers would slide down on her, but she didn't find it to be a problem. So she still felt like they got the job done. So anyway, just kind of wanted to point all that stuff out for you. See, these are the Greatsley heated socks. By the way, when you're charging them, there's no indicator as far as what place in the charge level they are. So what happens is that when you first plug them in, the 3 charge lights here, the power lights, will just flash, and that lets you know that it is charging. And it's done when they go solid, like that. So you don't really have an indicator of how much time is left or how full a charge they have. It's either kind of an all or nothing thing. So once they're solid, you know it's fully charged, and you should get roughly the performance that I've described for you. Now, so would I buy the socks again? I don't know, maybe. $45 is a little pricey, but I will say my wife thought that they did the job for her. So, if she's happy, I guess I'm happy with that 45 bucks, provided that they continue to work after multiple washes. And so far, so good. Well, let's talk about the gloves. Now, the gloves are really well made, I have to say. Even just as basic gloves, they work really well. And they are waterproof, and there is like a little, e-touch kind of fingertip on the index. It's you kind of got to get the full pad on your phone screen for it to be you to be able to swipe through and click on things. So it's limited functionality. I think maybe there's one on the thumb as well. But so, I mean, it does work. And like the socks, let me move the socks over here. Again, these are by Aroma Season, which is a silly name. They have this little pocket on the inside of the wrist, and there's a little cable here. Now, you attach the battery, and this is a bigger battery than the one that comes with the socks. These things are 3,000 milliamp hours, and they will shut off after an hour. Now, it doesn't mean the battery's dead. It's just if you run them continually, they automatically turn themselves off after an hour. And so you just want to be aware of that. They don't really need to get all that hot to keep your hands warm, I will say. But there's a cool little switch button right on the outside. So you long press that, and you can see it turns red. Now, red is the hottest setting, and I think you probably get at least a solid hour out of the fully on. Maybe you might even get as much as 2 hours out of that setting. If you press it again, it goes to blue. That's the medium. You'll probably get between 2 and 3 hours out of that setting, and you can get probably 4, maybe a little bit longer hours out of the light setting. And I would think I would probably take the approach that I mentioned on the gloves, to warm them up on the warmest setting right before you're going to use them, or right as you need them, and then dial them down, because once they start getting warm, it doesn't really take that much to keep you comfortable. And if you need to extend this past an hour or so, that's really the best strategy. So dial that down into the blue or the green, and they're really comfortable. Even with you'd think that the battery might be better suited to be on the outside, but there was no problem having them on the inside. And they come in multiple sizes too. I got the small mediums, which they said are good for the average woman, and so these just barely fit me. I would probably need to go large, and I don't have that gigantic hands or anything. I'm kind of an average sized guy, but I probably would want the large gloves. And as I said, real well made. The heating elements go all through the palm, and I think into just the bottom of the fingers there. And they do actually a really adequate job of keeping you comfortable out in the cold. One of the reasons that I waited so long to review these is that right as I ordered these, it was like freezing cold in November. And then when they finally showed up, suddenly it had warmed up again, and we had a very mild December for Ohio. So I had to wait a sufficient amount of time for it to get cold again so that I could go actually test these out. And so my wife really enjoyed these. I've actually used them both myself, just not to the extent that she did, just to sort of get a feel for them as well. Now, the charger that comes with the batteries has this sort of little standard sort of AC adapter. It doesn't have like a micro USB connector like the socks do. So this is very proprietary. You're going to definitely want to take care of this AC adapter, or you're out of luck. Now, with the socks, you could charge this with any micro USB cable, USB charger type thing. Now, the indicator on this is that, again, there's no indicator on the charge on the battery as far as how much power is left or where they are in the charge cycle, but there is a little blue or red-green LED here at the base of the charger. So when you plug this in fact, actually, if I were to attach it to one of the batteries, you'll see that the light comes on. So right now it's green, and so it's telling me that it's basically fully charged. Now, if I plug it in and it needs to charge the batteries, it'll switch to red, telling me that it's in charge mode. But once it turns green, you have a full charge on your batteries. So anyway, that's what that looks like. That's really the only way to tell if you're still charging or you need to wait longer for the charge to finish. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful. It's an investment, really. I mean, if you're going to go out and spend $80 for a pair of gloves, I mean, they better get the job done. And so I took a chance on it, and I'm happy with the purchase. I think my wife is going to get a lot of use out of these. And they, as I said, they do really actually feel well made, which is good given the fact that they are $80. The socks, I'm a little less enthusiastic about. She seemed to think they got the job done. I think they did okay. You know, I'm a little on the fence. If you are somebody who just cannot tolerate cold feet, and that might be worth it for you for 45 bucks. I think if it were me, you know, my feet tend to go a little bit warm anyway. And so I guess that's probably why I'm not quite so enthusiastic about the socks, because for me, I personally wouldn't justify spending $45 because my feet really stay fairly warm anyway. But my wife seems to think that, that it works for her. So there you go. I guess make the decision for yourself. And again, if you're interested in looking at these particular products, the link is in the description below and you can go check those out. But anyway, hope the video was helpful to you, and stick around, consider subscribing if you like to see outdoor videos, which we also do here. And I do electronics and vlogging type equipment reviews and that kind of thing. So this is a little out of my wheelhouse, really. But even so, I still wanted to share it in hopes that I could help somebody with a decision. So anyway, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one. Have fun out there.